Hi, welcome to Diamond Custom Paint Shop. In this video, we're going to do some Metal Flake on a riding lawnmower hood. Now, in the past video, we went ahead and did the primer and some black base coat to get ready for our Metal Flake. The Metal Flake I'm going to be using is Limeline's Metal Flake. If you go on Limeline's site, he has got a lot of Metal Flake on there now, different colors. We're just going to use the plain silver that comes in the bag like this. Has two different sizes of flake in it, kind of a smaller and a bigger flake. So go ahead and check that out. This is what we're going to be using. I'm going to show you how to mix this up here in a second in our 2K clear coat. Speaking of the clear coat, we're going to be using Limeline's 2K high solids clear coat. It's the Glamour clear coat. I like using this when I'm flaking because it's a little thicker, you know, it helps bury that flake a little bit better, it seems. And then here, that's the part A, and the part B is right here. So we'll be utilizing that. He also has acrylic urethane clear coat, which you can also mix the Metal Flake in if you'd like. But like I said, I prefer the high build when I do my Metal Flake. I've got a big can of it, so we're going to utilize that. Then we're going to use one other thing I have to mention that's very important when you're spraying Metal Flake. If you're using these lids here, they have a filter in them. So first thing we need to do is we need to cut that out. Because if you don't cut that out, it's not going to let all the flake through. And you'll know if you forget because you'll still get some flake through, but it won't be really thick. And you'll know something's wrong. You'll kind of be like, you'll think your gun's clogged up, and then you'll realize you forgot to take the filter out, like I've done a couple of times, but then you realize that, you know, you take the filter out and then it blasts it on pretty good. So, all right, well, we'll be right back. We'll set up. I'm going to show you how to mix this up in the cup, and we'll be right back. Okay, for some reason it didn't record my voice while shooting this video, so I'm just going to do a voiceover on this. So here we got our Glamour clear coat ready to go and our flake. The first thing you're going to want to do is look at your clear coat and see what the mix ratio is. As here you're seeing 2-to-1 mix ratio. And then you have your part A over there, and then your part B on that side there. So, okay, here I have this cup marked out so you can see how I mix it. You know, if you're a beginner and you want to see exactly how it's mixed. Here you see I'm going on the 2-to-1 column, like it says on the can. And then I'm going to figure out how much volume I want total, which is at the 4 level there. And then I just kind of, like I'm kind of showing, I'm going to follow that around to see where that 4 puts me as far as the ounces go. Mainly doing this so I can see how much reducer I'm going to add to this, because I like to add a reducer when I'm using this high solids clear coat. It just helps it spray out a lot better. So what you're going to do, like I'm showing here, is, you know, your part B is going to be that top number in the second column, and your part A is going to be that first number 4 there in the first column. And then here in a second, I'll show you how I figure out my 15% reducer. Okay, if you take that second number 4 in the second column and follow around, it gives you 12 ounces, and 15% of 12 ounces is 13.8. So we'll just go with a 14 ounce. So we'll take a measurement from the top down to that 14 ounce with a piece of tape and mark it, and then just roll it around and transfer it over from that top edge down, and that's your 15% reducer mark right there. Okay, now we're going to look at the instructions on the Metal Flake. You say it says mix 1 packet with 1 pint or 16 ounces of clear coat. And as you remember, we're going to be up to about the 14 ounces total by the time we're done adding our reducer. So we're just going to end up putting this whole package in. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add the part A up to that number 4 in the first column. Just pour it in slowly up to that number 4. As you can see, it's coming up now to the 3, and just about there to that first number 4. Now we're going to go ahead and grab the part B and fill it up to that number 4 in the second column. Part B arrow. And there we are. And then we'll just grab the reducer here. I use Limeline reducer, but you'll see I put it in a squirt bottle just to make it easier to add to my mixtures that I do. That's kind of what I'm showing here now. So yeah, we're just going to take this and fill it up to that 15% reducer mark. And then that'll give us our total volume, which we'll add our metal flake to. We grab our stir stick and give it a good stir. I like to mix it up pretty good before I add the metal flake, just to make sure our part A and part B and reducer get all mixed together really good before I go adding the metal flake into it. Okay, now we'll open up the metal flake. It has a resealable bag, so if you want to mix a smaller quantity, you don't mix it all in there, you can reseal it and use it later. But here we go. We're going to just pour the whole bag in there, kind of stirring as we pour it in so it doesn't clump up or anything. Okay, and there's the whole bag. And then now we'll just give this a good stir. Make sure everything's mixed up. Then now see here, I'll show you on the stick there kind of what it should look like. Say if you're mixing, partial mixtures, that's kind of what you want it to look like on the stick, so you know how much flake to put in. When you pull that stick out of your mixture, it should kind of cover the stick and then run off. Because how it shows up on that stick is pretty much how, when you spray down, how it's going to spray down every pass you do. So okay, I'm just going to peel the tape off here so I can get the lid on. And then we're going to take our cap with no filter in it. Remember to take your filter out so it doesn't get clogged up with the flake. Just get it snapped down on there. And we're going to get our retaining ring. I'm going to be using my Limeline Pro gun with the 1.4 tip, and we're ready to spray. Okay, here goes the first coat. And one tip I do have, in between your coats, when you store your gun, store it so the cup's side down, so that way the metal flake doesn't settle down into your inside your gun and it can possibly clog it. I've had it happen before and it's kind of a pain in the butt. You just gotta, hurry and clean out your gun, pull the needle back and try to free it up. This is coat number 2. Okay, now that we've laid down 3 coats of Metal Flake, we're going to do 3 coats of just the clear coat, and this is the first coat. I'm not going to show all of the coats I do, the other 2 coats. I'll just show this first coat. It's basically the same thing. Okay, so I scuffed down the this hood with 600 grit sandpaper. I got it pretty smooth. Now let me just show you here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this hood and we're going to do a design on this top area right here. We're going to do another type of metal flake in the middle here with some flames. But first we're going to tape off, do a little bit of edging just for this panel here. That's one thing I wanted to mention that's cool about custom painting is you can just, you don't have to lay out this whole thing at once. If you kind of have an idea, like I know what the idea for right here is, but I kind of have an idea for the side, but maybe I don't know how that's going to match until I do the top. So you can do the top, you can do it in sections, and the savior with custom painting is clear coat. So once you get done, say we're going to do this top section, we're going to clear coat the whole thing, and that puts you on a fresh slate every time. Every time you clear coat, it's a fresh slate. Because let's say I do this, and then I don't clear coat it, then I start over here, and I mess something up really bad or something, you know. Well, then I got to sand it down, and hopefully I don't mess with this at all. But if you clear coat, if you mess up over here, you sand it off, and you're right back to where you were. As long as you didn't sand down too far, you just keep going on top of that clear coat. But let's say you sand it down a little, you know, you're kind of worried about the next layer, then you could always clear coat again, you know, just scuff everything else down with 600 grit really quick so the clear coat sticks again, and then go again. So that's why I say it's like a clear slate every time you clear coat, and that's the beauty of custom painting, is you can just keep doing that over and over as many times as you need, which a lot of custom painters do.
when you see all those layers, a lot of times it's not done all at the same time. They do one part of it, clear coat it, protect it, and so you're able to come over and tape over top of it and do all kinds of stuff, and then clear again. And you know, depending on how extravagant the design is, you'll do that over and over until you're finished. So on this, like I said, first we're just gonna cut away. We'll set this up kind of probably on an overhead shot. I'm going to use some, I'll go over what we're going to be using here in this segment. I'm just going to use some fine line, kind of do a border around this, maybe 2 or 3 lines. We'll shoot the black for that border, and then we'll go ahead and tape off for our different color of flake in the middle here and go from there. Like I said, we're going to be doing, so what we're going to be doing is on the inside here, we're going to be using, it's called a black rainbow flake, I believe. That's going to be on here. And the thing with that black rainbow flake, let me show it to you here. So it comes like this, and it's called, black rainbow iridescent flake is what it's called. And so usually I mix this in 2K clear, but in this instance, since I'm doing this small area, and I want to be able to continue working on this, and not have to wait overnight, because if I was to mix this with 2K clear, I'd have to wait overnight, come back tomorrow, and then continue when the clear is dried. But I'm going to mix with this with clear base coat, and that way I can just let the base coat dry, maybe apply another coat of clear base coat if I need to, if it has a lot of texture. This is smaller flake, so I'm not sure if I'll need to do that, and you could lightly sand that down kind of smooth, and then kind of continue on with your work. It's a little bit riskier this way, but I'm going to give it a try on the top of this here because it's a small area. And then we're going to be, after that, we're going to lay down some purple and white flames, kind of intertwined, going up this middle section here. So, and we're going to use, so once I get this taped off, before I do the flake, I'm going to shoot it, that section with some, oh, that's the inner coat, with some black base coat from Lime Line to get it back black again for that black iridescent flake to sit on. And then this is the inner coat clear, which is, clear base coat, basically the same thing that we're going to be using. And then here is our Lime Line tapes. I got 16th and 1/8 inch here. I got green and I have this orange, and that's going to be, I'm going to use the 2 different colors for the 2 different color flames when I lay them out. So that's the benefit of using 2 colors of tape when you're doing multiple layers. Kind of keep track of what you're doing and where it's going. So, all right, so we'll cut away. We'll be right back, and I'll start laying out some lines. I wanted to explain something when we're doing overlapping flames. There's a few ways you can do them. One way you can do them, like how I did them on the hood here, is, on the lawnmower hood, was I planned on pinstriping around these flames. So I didn't care if I had a gap, like where these cross. If you leave that line there, like I did, you're going to have the metal flake in the back, a line of that crossing across there. But I'm pinstriping, so I don't care. And I'll show you that on the hood, what I'm talking about. But another way, if you weren't going to pinstripe, you would cut them out a little bit different than how I did. I just cut them out, how they would actually look, overlap and underlap. So the other way you can do is you cut everything out, which I'll show you in a second, and then you decide when you're masking off your two separate colors, you decide what's going up over and what's going under what. So, or the other way you can do it, which I've done it before, is you just do one set at a time. Like you'll do, let's say if this is the orange stripe is an orange flame, you'll lay that out, you'll spray it, clear coat, and then come back and overlay. Like if this was going to be a white flame where the green is, then you would just do that separately and, lay it out and then trim where your overlap and underlaps are going to be. So, but here I'm going to show you if you were to tape them both off like I did, but you weren't going to pinstripe around them. You didn't want that line of metal flake underneath to show. So what you're going to do, so we'll take this, we're going to have this green right here go over this orange. So first off, we're going to cut this right here. We're going to get that out of the way. And then really anywhere that these cross, that anything crosses each other, like right here, even though in the end, I'm going to want this to go over that one. I'm going to have it go over, under, then over again. If I was going to really paint this, it's just a demonstration. But it doesn't matter when you're doing it this way. Anywhere it overlaps, you cut it. So we'll cut this one. Again, this is just a demonstration to show you it's not going to be perfect. Then we'll follow up the flame right here. They cross, so we're going to cut all these out of the way. On the orange and on the green. So you'll see in a second what I mean. So we'll cut these out. Then we'll also cut along the line here. Just follow that line, how that's going to be. And so it's like a crossroads now. You'll kind of follow this down and get that same angle as if it was going to continue this way. Same with this one. You're going to kind of come and it's going to curve a little bit. You want that at that same angle. There you go. So you see you have a crossroads there. Then we're going to have another one right here. Like this. You're just going to take all these out. And then there you go. And then, like I said, when you're going to mask these off, depending on which color you're going to do, whether you're going over or under, is you'll just mask and follow that line. So I'll demonstrate. Let me grab some masking tape and I'll demonstrate that one going over. So we're going to have this first one go over, and we're going to, let's say we're painting this one first, which would be a white flame. So we tape this. something like that. Like I said, this isn't going to be perfect because this is just a demonstration. So you tape off like that. So that's going to be over. And then since this one's going to be under, I'll hold it up here in a second so you can see it. So then you would actually go like this, then just trim this. Get another little piece. We kind of missed our mark here. So there you see. So if we were painting, then everything else would be, you would be masking off all this, the orange, because you would just be painting the green. But this is how you would mask it. So you can see this one's going to be going over, and then this one's going to be under. So hope that makes sense to you. All right.
Spray the white base coat in light coats and let it thoroughly dry before applying the next coat. You want to make sure the white base coat is dry because you're going to be taping on this. And you don't want to have the chance of the tape pulling up the white base coat.
Okay, we have our flames laid down and everything, but I'm going to explain the perfect reason why you clear coat and how it's a clean slate, how it can save your butt. This is going to be a perfect example. Like I said in the beginning, I was going to try to do this all with clear base coat, as my coverings. And luckily, after I did the flames, I laid down like 4 coats of clear base coat because it's going to save me in this instance. So let me kind of explain what happened. So I went ahead and tried to start to pinstripe these flames. But what had happened was, when you're building up all these layers, keep adding the color and the clear base coat, and the colors again, you get a ridge, formed up around these. So when I tried to pinstripe here, it wasn't going so hot because it was hitting those ridges and making my brush go all funky. So luckily, I did, like I said, I did like 4 coats of clear base coat. It's not as good as using 2K clear coat to fix mistakes, but if you do use the clear base coat like that, you just got to be really careful when you're sanding down your mistakes because you can burn through pretty quick. So we're gonna kind of take my time to take away all these pinstripes I did. So that's what I'm saying. So now I'm going to be able, and I'll show you in a second a little bit here how I'm able to, and I already started right here at the top, started to, sand away my pinstripe paint, and I'm just going to continue down and kind of sand all this off. Then I'm going to clear coat it with 2K clear, and then come back, sand it down smooth, and then come back and do my pinstriping on the flames here. So yeah, this is a perfect example. I'm glad it kind of happened so I can show you. The better way would have been to 2K clear, but I was trying to push the limits, see how far I could kind of go without clear coating. And you'll get to a certain point where, it's just not worth it anymore. So let me grab, I just have a sanding sponge here. This is an 800 grit. And the key to this on the clear base coat, we're going to wet sand. That's not the real key. I would recommend wet sanding it. But the key is, like say I'm doing these lines, I just want to try to hit those lines and I want to do really light pressure, just kind of, like I'm cleaning it. And eventually they'll start to come off. So we'll just kind of go right here. You just have to be patient because it'll take a little minute. See, it's already kind of coming off. See, and it's already kind of almost off right there. As far as I don't need to, get real nitty. I could if I needed to, really get every little speck off. But I'm going to come back and after I clear it, I'm going to pinstripe this again. So if it's in that inner edge there, I don't really care. But in some of these spots, it kind of went over that edge that built up. My brush was forced, some of the bristles to go over that edge. So, actually it turned out pretty crappy, like right in this area here. There's, all this here. So, anyways, this is a perfect example. Thanks for watching this video. We're going to continue on with this lawnmower project, this hood in particular. Next thing we're going to do, I'm going to decide, I'm going to clear coat it, pinstripe these flames, and then we're going to move on to the sides and we'll do the rest of the graphics in one shot. Kind of have some ideas what I want to do, but yeah, so that'll be the next one. So stay tuned to catch those coming up pretty soon, and I'll see you on the next one.